1-on-1, never lost. Went to the finals, never lost.
You never got there, LeVar.
Who?
You.
I've been a 1-on-1 champ, never lost 1-on-1.
All right.
Back at it again. It's the guy Spence&Co. This time we got some big time company in the building. The one and only all-time touchdown single season holder record here at Longview High. Ward number 5 this past year. Everybody knows him. The Thunder from the Thunder and Lightning combo. This year off the state championship team. I've got nobody other than Jessie Anderson in the building. That's a long-winded introduction. I hope you feel special, man. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
There it is. Jessie Anderson here with me, kicking it with me for a little bit. We're going to talk, of course, his high school career and what he has planned for college and stuff like that. But first off, let me say congratulations to be the first team in 81 years to win the state championship at the alma mater, Longview. You're a graduate now, so you're alumni now. You're not a student anymore. So I want to say congratulations. It's been a long time, and a lot of teams tried it, but you guys finally got it done, man. How was it like to finally win a state championship for Longview?
It felt good. It felt good to finally get through and win it. You know, just going out there and putting the work in every day and finally seeing it pay off was one of the biggest keys for us.
No doubt. So the year before, you get stupid close. You get to the 5th round. Of course, you losing a heartbreaker like that. And then, of course, I mean, that kind of had to propel you guys into going into your senior year. How was it? Because I think that's the hardest loss I think I've ever been associated with Longview. Even the 2 state championship games that I lost as a player, or any loss I had in high school, I think that Waco Midway when we lost after that kick, I think that hurt me more than I've ever been hurt in my life. How did that propel you guys going into the next year, going into your senior year?
Well, most of us, we told our senior class when they left, we was just like, we don't want this same upset, you know. We told them that we was going to come back and pick up where we left off and just go ahead and win it all for them. And with that senior class, which was my class, we was telling them that we was going to stand on that. We was going to make sure we bring it back home for them.
No doubt. So a lot of people who've been covering Longview for in the past 5-10 years know about you, know how when you started playing and all this stuff. Jessie, of course, was a running back / fullback, probably used in both roles, you know, quite frequently throughout his senior year, even in the sophomore year. Sophomore year, you got your start. Talk about your sophomore year and you know, you didn't have a whole lot of touches. You weren't the starter, but you know, you still made enough for people to know who you are and got some quality reps. How was it? How was your sophomore year?
My sophomore year, it was I think was one of my best years playing. Just being out there, my idea was to go out there and just let everybody know who I was, make a statement, you know, my first year, and let them know just because I was a sophomore that I could still play with the big dogs. Right. So that was my thing.
No doubt. So also your sophomore year was the first time you were on the varsity field with your brother J.C. Blakemore, number 33 out of the class of 2018. For a lot of people, that defensive end, everybody remembers J.C. How was it like to finally grace the same field as your brother, playing both being varsity Lobos?
Well, you know, I played a lot with J.C. on previous teams, but being a Lobo at the same time as my brother, you know, actually getting to share those games, those moments with him, those things were big to me. So, like in practice, I really think that he was one of the key components of making me better as a person and as a player, because in practice, he would never go light on me. You know, he'll try to come bring it to me every play, you know, and that just kept that mentality going on, and I kept it on after he left.
No doubt. So, and that's the one thing you notice about JC is his effort was always high. It was always a high level of effort. It was always, you know, a high motor. It was always doing the tough things that not necessarily everybody wanted to do. You, on the other hand, were more really just kind of really talented from the jump. As soon as you started playing football, it was kind of easy for you, right? Yeah. So with it being so easy for you, how was it like how did you come up with the mindset that you had as a ball carrier? Because, you know, that's the one thing that I think ranks you as pretty high, especially amongst the running backs, but especially probably number one amongst the fullbacks, is that you weren't just getting 5-10 yards at a time. You were trying to break 40, 50, 60-yard runs every time you had the ball, no matter if it was from a 3-point stance or from a 2-point running back stance. How early did you develop the mindset as a ball carrier to want to be a home run hitter?
I think that mentality, it started back in middle school. Just getting the ball, me seeing that some people was actually scared of me. Some people just didn't want to hit me. So, I took that, and I'm just like, I love that feeling of being in the end zone. So every time I get the ball, I'm finna try to get in the end zone. And that mentality alone is what separated me from a lot of other backs. Not just trying to go and get 4 or 5 yards, but try to take it to the end zone.
No doubt. That explosion and that wanting to be in the end zone helped you to find the end zone, 27 times? 27 rushing touchdowns and one receiving touchdown in your senior year, which is the school record. 28 touchdowns in one season is the school record as far as rushing and receiving touchdowns go. You're on top of the list of Fred Talley, Vondrell McGee, Tyler McCray, Aaron Johnson, all these great names that you've heard either through history lessons from people talking about it or you watching the 08-09 team when you were a little kid. What was it like to know that, hey, my name is on top and I'm not sharing this list with anybody? This is me, Jesse Anderson, on top of the all-time touchdowns list.
With that, it just felt good, coming in to Longview, I always hear people talking about these big names, Vondrell, Fred Talley, or the rest of them. I just felt like it was an honor to be up there, just even in the conversation as them. Yeah,
no doubt. Those are great names, and you know what? And it's my time to relish in my moment. That's the one thing I'm glad about having a record that's like almost impossible to touch, because there's always great backs. Like when Vondrell set that record in like 05, I think, I was like, man, that ain't gonna never get touched. And then Tyler goes and does it in 08, and then it's stayed there at 08 all the way up a full decade until we see somebody touch and break your record. So that's what's crazy, is that you never know when those rushing and receiving records, because you never know when the next kid is coming. Yeah. So I'm happy in my moment to know that ain't nobody gonna start more games than me. Like, when that's crazy. Like, that was pretty selfish. I'm sorry. This is about Jesse. This isn't about me. Back to Jesse. No. Okay. So your junior year, it started out hot, man. You were rushing about, like, you had over 100 yards rushing in the 2 games you had played before. Mm-hmm. Like, it was about, that's really your junior year is the year that you want to, let everybody know, hey, I'm D1. I'm that guy, mm-hmm. And then crushing blow comes against South Oak Cliff at home. Nobody thought too much of the injury at the time. I remember you saying, I'm not, Coach, I'm not being a whatever at the time. He said, but Coach, this really hurt. And I said, but I'm going to push through. And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, maybe he sprained his wrist. And then we found out in the morning meeting Sunday at the high school, King tells us that you broke your wrist and you'll be out until December. And we were all like, shit. Like, well, there goes our rushing attack. What was it like first hearing the news that you were going to be out for so long, and how did that make you feel instantly?
To be honest with you, I was devastated. Before I even went to go get the surgery, I was in the car with my mom, and I just broke down crying. Yeah. And she was like, what, your wrist hurt? And I'm like, no. I said, I already know I'm not going to be able to play for a long time, And I said, that's what hurts the most. I'm like, my wrist, I could have probably taped it up and kept playing. Right. But I knew that wasn't what I needed to do. Right. So I just went on and went through with the surgery. And the only thing, after I had my surgery, I kept asking the doctor, will I be able to go back? And he finally just said, if you get the mobility back in your wrist and you get like a brace to play in, I'll let you play. And I went to the furthest extent to get a brace made for me to play, because I refused to sit out the whole year.
Yeah. So when he said and gave you the okay to find the brace and have the mobility, what was it like? Because at that time of the year, it was, things were going well. We kind of found Keelan and Jaquan. Jaquan did a great job. And then we found Keelan Williams throughout his junior year. And, what kind of player he turned out to be. And then it's starting to look like, wait a minute, this might be an actuality that we might get to play into December. How did that feel like when you knew, like, hey, this is legit? Like, I might actually get in the game again this year. The total sadness that you had at the beginning of the injury, I know it had to turn into like pure happiness and elation after you found out you could get in. How was that feeling?
It felt great, because honestly, my whole team was behind me. You know, they kept telling me, we're going to make sure you be able to get back on the field again this year. You know, and they was like, we're going to do whatever it takes. And every game, they would count down with me after every game. 1 more game, 2 more games, 3 more games, just kept going, you know. And it was just like, we're going to make sure you get back on the field.
Yeah. That's an amazing feeling. And that year was so special, mainly because that was the team of, like, misfits. You know, everybody had always pointed, since you guys were probably in middle school or before that y'all were probably the next group to have a chance to win a state championship. I know y'all have been hearing that for years with Chug telling y'all that for years, and LA telling y'all that for years, that, you know, y'all gonna be the next group, y'all gonna win the trophy. And, you know, the year before, y'all's junior year was supposed to be, you know, maybe. We'll see. And for us to take it that far and go to the 5th round, that year will always be pretty special to me, even with this big year. So you get into the title game, things start out a little slow. You know, we're scoring coming out of the bat, but we're not really, you know, moving the ball like we usually do. Kind of offensive line's kind of struggling to make run holes and things like that. What was it like at halftime going in at the state game where things were kind of probably a little turmoil?
Well, first off, I knew what was riding on that. You know, that whole game, I knew what was on the line, you know. And a lot of us, we all went in the locker room, and we all had our minds made up that we wasn't going home without the win. You know, we was like, we heard so many stories about people getting here and losing it and stuff like that. And we was just like, we don't want to go out that same way. We're going to make sure we be remembered forever. Right. And we all got on that same page. And when we came back out, we just dominated.
No doubt. It was definitely domination, both sides of the ball, all three. Even you take JK's kick to make it a 5-point game. So you really, all three of the aspects of the game really went back into y'all's way. It was just a perfect wave, man. From where I was sitting in the stands, it was amazing. I know the energy on the field was electric and crazy. I could just see everybody jumping up and down, going crazy. It's one of the, I definitely, you know, kind of wish I was down there for that moment. But just knowing that how good y'all were and coaching y'all from, because y'all's class was my first year coaching ever. And so coming in with y'all, I always knew that y'all were a special group, and I knew y'all were going to get it done. Speaking of special, 2 other record-setting performances this year. One from classmate Camden Perry, who went over 1,800 yards. I don't know how many touchdowns. I don't have it off the top. Probably, no doubt, the best receiving year for a wide receiver at Longview. Probably one of the best receiving careers at Longview. What was it like watching Camden, you know, dominate game to game? Because really, that's an aspect that nobody in Longview has ever seen. Like a receiver to dominate the game as much as he did with his stats and his yards per catches and all that crazy stuff. What was it like to see Camden go off?
With that, it was great just watching it, you know, knowing that I had this elite receiver on my team, you know, and my mindset was, okay, yeah, you stopped me, but now watch what we're about to do in the air. You know, like, we got weapons all over the field, and just knowing, like, not everybody has a Camden Perry. Right. You know, not everybody can just go around, jump in the air, catching balls, you know, just doing what they do. And I'm like, Camden is natural with it. So just seeing him do that every Friday or Saturday, you know, it was great.
No doubt. And of course, you had the 6A player of the year, Haynes King. You know, when you have teammates that special, I always remember playing with Peter Robinson and, you know, Pete's with the Arizona Cardinals now. Mm-hmm. There's always an aura or a glow about a guy that's like going off in his moment. I know probably my senior year in Shreveport, we were playing in a playoff game. We were playing Mesquite Horn in the 4th round. And Peter had something about him like where you could tell he was getting ready to take over. So, of course, you played with somebody way better than Peter at quarterback with Haynes. Was there ever a moment where you're like, damn, this MF are going off right now?
It was a lot of moments like that, you know. Seeing that Haynes could move, he could run, he could make the cuts and stuff like that. I was just like, we really got this cold quarterback right here, you know. And I'm like, you don't know. He was unpredictable. You didn't know if he was going to take off running or he was just going to launch it down the field because Haynes was just that good.
Yeah, no doubt. Haynes was just that good. Well, let's talk about your best game this year, in my opinion anyway. Of course, was the 4th round of the playoffs in Waco, at Waco Was it not Waco ISD? Yeah, Waco ISD. And y'all played Houston Spring Westfield. Got your ass stoned at the beginning of the game. The wind was going all kind of crazy ways. It kind of reminded me of when Longview played Spring to Caney in 2012, and that crazy wind. If you were there, you know exactly what I was talking about. Haynes throwing the ball, you never know where it's going. He threw, I think, 2 interceptions in the first half, maybe. So that's out of characteristic for Haynes. What was it like at halftime, knowing that probably not going to throw the ball to win this game? It's going to come down to you and the offensive line. What were those moments like? Because, you know, there has to be fear that sets in just a little bit, just because this is probably the first team all year that stoned y'all. You know, even all the close games with Rockwall, that was a high-scoring game. Even with Lufkin, you found success with Lufkin at the beginning of the year. That was a high-scoring game, 35-28. That's a high-scoring game in high school standards. So this is the first time where y'all sitting there at halftime like, damn, what we going to do? What was that moment like? What was said? What did you say? What inspired the group to come out and have such a great second half performance?
And with that, it was another moment where I had to go in the locker room. You know, me, Camden, Lister, you know, a few of the captains, we had to go in there. We had to step up, and we all had our mind made up that we wasn't gonna go home. And I was just like, with me being the size that I am, it's cold. Not everybody's going to hit a big back while it's cold.
Right.
So, we talked to Coach King about it or whatever. I told him exactly what I was thinking. I was just like, I think I need to get the ball or whatever. So we started working on that drive, you know, and then I just broke right up the middle and scored that first touchdown. And that's like when it all just changed. We started rolling.
That first drive coming out of halftime was vintage John King, vintage Longview, Lobo, power, smash man football. And it wasn't in like a sense of like a fullback and a running back and an I formation set. It was a lot of one-back stuff that y'all did coming out of the shotgun with 2 tight ends, and you were hitting the inside zone, and you were just really just taking defenders with you. You could see the attitude, you could see the mindset, you could see the switch flip, and that was probably one of the proudest moments being a Lobo and just understanding what those kind of drives mean, and just understanding having that Lobos across your chest and you going out there and punishing people. You know, I was sitting in the chest. I'm not sitting in the chest. I was sitting in the stands, chest out, proud. Like, it got hot all of a sudden for me because I was like, yeah, this is what we're used to. For me, that was your best game this year, just because of what was on the line, how bad the offense was doing, and for you to step up and go for, I think you went over 100 in the second half, huh? So to go over 100 in the second half and really be the entire offense when the offense was nothing at the time, I felt like that was your most important. But for you, what was your best game this year?
Dang, I had to think about this one. For me, I would think my best game was probably the Prosper game. Yeah. In that Prosper game, I did a lot of key blocks. You know, I had a lot of good runs, but to me, more than just the runs, I just thought my block in that game was like outstanding. You know, picking up the ends or picking up the linebackers, it was just a fun game for me.
Yeah. Now, the Prosper game was a fun game because it was at the Star. And so, you know, us country folks ain't never been nowhere. Like, oh, shit, we at the Star. This is where the Cowboys practice. Even in the people in the stands, that's where we like, oh, yeah, we done made it, or we with the Stars. And so, yeah. And I don't know, did y'all get a chance to see the outside and, like, the hotel and, like, just that whole area? Man, like, the whole area, you know, Jerry Jones owns almost everything in the entire area. So, fancy restaurants, fancy hotels, fancy everything. It was really a fun atmosphere to be at, just from a fan's perspective, because they're like, oh, shit, this is prime time. This is nice. So Prosper was your probably one of y'all best offensive games. Y'all went for like 63 that game. That's what you feel like your best game was from that year. So we've mentioned Camden, we've mentioned Keelan, but Jeff Anaya, a 3-time All-State player. You know, Javante, a 3-year letterman, a 2-year starter at linebacker. You got Jalen Allen, All-State. Marcus Harry, All-State on the offensive line. Marcus Williams, TCU, you know, standout TCU signing. You got Gavin, 3-year starter. Kalen Allen, 2-year starter. Who else? I mean, the defense, Jordan Wallace, Quay Randall, 3-year letterman. All these guys you got. Where do you think your class ranks as far as the senior class ranks amongst the classes that you've seen or heard about at Longview High School?
I don't want to sing cocky with this one, but I think we rank number one. I mean, because we had weapons all over the field at every position. The only thing we was really lacking with our class itself was just a quarterback.
Right.
But everything else, I think we was number one in that area.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's hard to argue with that because I always, 05 to me has always been like the most talented team, in my opinion. The team that went 10-1 with Trent Williams the senior year, with Vondrell, Chris Ivory, Adrian Reese, all those legends. And for years, that team to me was cemented number one as far as overall talent because they had 13 D1 signees, yada, yada, yada. But when I look at y'all's class and you look at the running back position alone, you and Keelan rival Vondrell and Chris as far as careers go, as far as what y'all did on the field. I mean, really it's a toss-up between who's the best backfield. It's either between y'all or Vondrell and Chris. It's not even like everybody else is not even close. So you take, the backfield, then you look at the offensive line. Of course, Trent's the best one to probably ever come through. But, you look at Marcus Harry, Gavin, Kalen Allen, Marcus Williams, all 3-year lettermen. You usually don't have 4 guys that are 3-year lettermen on the offensive line. Defensive line, same way. Jordan Wallace, Jalen Allen, 3-year letterman. You had James Rollins, 3-year letterman. Javante, 3-year letterman. It's just insane how many of y'all had to play so early. And then the final product that y'all put out, I mean, it was many All-State and record holders that you guys have. I might have to go ahead and agree with you, man. I think this 2018 football season in the class of 2019 might just be the best class of athletes or best football team senior class that's probably ever come through. And I'm probably going to catch all kinds of flick and all kinds of hell for saying that. But the proof is in the pudding. Nobody else won a state championship. Nobody else has one of those big shiny-ass rings. What was it like when you got your ring, man? When you finally got a chance to open that thing up and see all them diamonds shining in your face? How was it like, man?
Honestly, I couldn't even stop smiling, to know that everything that we worked for had paid off and it was just all sitting in front of me. It was very special for us. But honestly, like a lot of people ask me why I don't wear it so much. But I'm just like, with my class itself, and not to seem cocky about it or anything, but my class itself was just like, we was used to winning. Yeah. So winning wasn't something we always try to do. It was just expected for us. Right. Win a game and go to the next game. So I feel like, we were happy about winning state and everything like that, but it was just for us another game to win. It was, I feel like the city, it was bigger to the city than some of us. Like we still respect it, but I mean, we just didn't like losing, and that's all it was.
Yeah, and it's like that. It's like that when you're in the moment because I think you'll feel differently about it 10 years from now. I think 10 years from now, even if this group repeats, to be the first team in 81 years to win the state championship, I think that takes a little gray hair in order for you to truly appreciate it. Because I remember my 2 state championship games I played in, I remember and I cherish them now more than I did when I played in them. Like at the time, it was just another game, and it was just big stakes, and you knew it was on the line, but it's still another game. And I think the more that I get out of school and realize how hard it is to even get to a state championship, I think 10 years from now, you'll be sitting around, you'll be in the stands one day, and you'll be like, wow, that was some of the greatest shit ever. And, Breland Faggot, of course, y'all know Faggot from the Mustang football team and all that stuff. He's been labeling y'all the best team ever for I don't know how long. And so it just kind of felt like, yeah, this was cool. This was something very cool to be a part of and to watch and see that shit happen. I'm definitely number one, and I think you'll really appreciate it. Maybe 5-10 years down the road. So Longview's not the only football place you're gonna be playing at. It's not where the road stops for you. You get signed a scholarship to play at Abilene Christian University. How did that come about? How was that whole recruiting process for you? I know it was crazy, with your junior year missing that. How was the whole recruiting process, and then what's your plans and what's your expectations at ACU?
Well, for the recruiting process, my junior year, my recruiting was kind of going up, it was kind of skyrocketing. And then once that injury came, you know, schools started fading. You know, some schools would come in here and there, but nobody would ever talk about offering me. And when my senior year came, you know, I just made my mind up that I'm about to get what I deserve, you know. And a few other D1 schools, they hit me up about coming to school, coming to visit and stuff like that. But Abilene, you know, they just stood out to me. They talked to me a lot through the school year, you know. And honestly, at first, they wasn't even taking a running back out of this signing class, you know. But they said that they rather had got me than let me go play for somebody else in that conference, play against them. Right. And I mean, the way that I'll be used, the impact that I'm trying to go set when I get there, my plan is to play as a true freshman. Yeah. Try to help turn the program into a good direction, you know, just contribute with more stuff, try to work on my craft, and just come with a new skill set, you know, and I want to come out and help from day one.
Right. And as you should, though, you should have lofty goals, especially when you've accomplished what you've accomplished here. You know, a lot of people look at you and they see size and they see you barreling over people and running down the field and doing stuff like that. But one of the things that I know when we spoke earlier before we got on is that, you know, your ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and to possibly run routes at the next level and actually catch the ball down the field, you feel like that's one of your strengths. I mean, talk about how you plan on using that. I mean, I guess you could just going to say the same thing I just said. But just tell me, I mean, how do you feel about, you know, people sleeping on you as a receiver out of the backfield?
Oh, with that's something that's going to be a plus for me, you know, in college, because some people actually look at me and they'll say, oh, he might not have the speed to get out, you know, so all we have to do is shut him down from running the ball, you know, but once you try to shut me down running the ball, I'll sneak behind you and get a pass, you know, and take it for about 30, you know, and that was always my mindset, you know, just to separate myself, because I said most running backs is in the name. You can run the ball. That's automatic, you know. But what is it that separates you from the other backs? And that was something I was just trying to find things that would separate me, that would put me in a different category than the other running backs.
No doubt, and I feel like that'll be a plus for you. You got one of the better natural set of hands that you have out of that position. So hopefully, you know, you get an opportunity to catch a couple passes out of the backfield this year, get some big runs. Hopefully, you know, be the starter by the end of the season, man. Make your goals as lofty as possible. Before we get out, talk about the trip to Austin that you guys made. How special did it feel about you know, seeing Matthew McConaughey at the Capitol and then seeing him again in graduation? I know it's got to be cool because Matthew don't come out for nobody. You know what I mean? We hadn't seen McConaughey in these sports in a while. And so to know that you guys and that state championship are the reason why he's, you know, coming around these sports and having one of the biggest celebrities in the world right here from Longview High School come around and show y'all love. How's that feel?
It felt good, you know. Going to Austin, that's kind of when it hit home for some of us, you know, like we really just did this, you know. We're starting to get recognized by a lot of big people, you know. And at first, a lot of people, it didn't really hit them right then, but just being in there, I actually got to speak to Matthew McConaughey, have a decent conversation with him, me, Camden, Haynes, Lister. We just all talked to him, and it was just great conversation.
Right. So that's Jessie Anderson, a solid little 30 minutes right here, about 28 and a half minutes. Man, big things we expect from Jessie, mainly because of the big things that he's done at Longview High School. Just a phenomenal career, a phenomenal senior year, part of the phenomenal state championship team for Longview this year. First one in 81 years. Of course, we're going to celebrate this for the next 2 or 3, even though I think we're going back to back, you know, but, you know, we'll see how that happens. I think we got a pretty good player coming up in Haynes and pretty good players coming up in Caden Meredith and Caden Kirby, and that's going to not replace totally what you guys did, but they're going to try to step in and fill in and do their jobs. And you know how Longview is. We really never fall off. You know, we don't reload. You know, we just kind of reload. You know, it's not a rebuild. It's never a rebuild in Longview. It's just, you know, we got to change the weapons a little bit. Might not hit them the AR-45 this year, but we might have to hit them with something else. But anything else you want to say to these people before we get out of here?
I just want to thank everybody that came out and supported this year. You know, I'm glad that we could bring something to the fans as far as a state championship, and I'll forever love the Longview fans.
No doubt, y'all. Sometimes y'all don't show up to the playoff time, but it's cool. We know that, we see that. But hey, y'all was there at the Carroll Stadium, AT&T Stadium. Y'all showed out. Y'all was loud. Much appreciated. It's been another Spence&Co. This time with Jessie Anderson. I'll holler at you.